The summer is right around the corner, and that means millions of Americans will flock to local pools and beaches for relief from the heat. But the ongoing nationwide lifeguard shortage should force thousands of highly trafficked swimming spots to reduce their hours or even close completely at the height of the season. So let's bring in Tom Gill to talk a little bit more about this. He's the vice president of the U.S. Lifesaving Association. Tom, glad that you were here. You know, I was quickly sort of Googling because I thought to myself, I feel like we talked about this last year and the year before. This is not just a problem that's happening right now. Increasingly over the past few years, particularly because of the pandemic, we are seeing more and more shortages. Can you talk to us about the factors driving this?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having us today or having me today. The factors driving the shortage they're a lot. And interestingly enough, they really vary by locality from agency to agency, region to region. And we're seeing sort of things that we've seen all in the past, where when people said there were lifeguard shortages, it was simply because people weren't paying the lifeguards enough and treating them like the first responders and public safety health professionals that they are.
Right.
But now, since the pandemic, we're seeing a number of other issues creeping in there. One of them is we have full employment right now, right? The unemployment numbers are as low as they've been. So the number of people looking for jobs seems to be a lot smaller these days. And that means the lifeguard agencies and the people that are hiring, often in a seasonal position, are having to work that much harder to find them.
Given all of that, what kind of incentives are there out there right now to entice people to join to be a lifeguard?
Well, everybody's having to do something different, whether it just raise the base pay rate, which is happening across the board. But you're also seeing incentives from various municipalities. I mean, a signing bonus, paying for the training, which didn't used to happen before, paid training, and then, like you see up there, I mean, just incentives for working through the summer, because the other issue you find with lifeguard agencies, especially in the seasonal position, people have to go back to schools and end that summer increasingly early, well before that Labor Day holiday this time. And we have to do everything we can to keep people around as long as they can be there.
So listen, if someone's, a fairly good swimmer and they're considering becoming a lifeguard, can you give us a sense of, what the training is like and what the test is like? And I guess it's different in different locations.
Right. There's a lot of difference with the United States Lifesaving Association. So we're your association of professional rescuers for open water and surf beaches. So for us, there's a 500-meter swim in 10 minutes or less. That's your base entry swim test for our certified agencies. Everybody's a little bit different, and depending on whether you're going to a pool with American Red Cross certification or the YMCA, they're all great. They're all very important. They just vary based on the things that you might have to do when you're on that job. As far as what you get out of lifeguarding for the open water, and I can certainly speak to the surf lifesaving, it is an incredible opportunity. The things you're going to learn out on the beach is something you're going to take with you to whatever job you go to, and every career choice you make is going to be influenced and affected by the work you do on the beach. It's an amazing opportunity for really younger, 16 to 23-year-olds that are never going to have that kind of responsibility that they get with the job of surf lifesaving.
So for those who are not as good at swimming as those potential lifeguards, what kind of steps can they take to be safe in the water this summer, even if there perhaps is not a lifeguard on duty?
Right. That's a great question, because what we see is people that are going into the pools, and they know their pools. They know where the deep end is. It's marked very nicely, typically with ropes and lanes and things like that. When you're coming out to the beaches, everything is changing. And within an hour, it's just so dynamic on the beachfront. So coming out there and not knowing where the rip currents are, where the holes in the troughs are along the shoreline, it can be really dangerous for people that are not well versed in swimming in general, which is why we say the number one thing to do is go swim near a lifeguard. When their lifeguard's on the stand, talk to them. And then when they're not on the stand, do not go in the water, because you put yourself at a much greater risk.
And just to go back to the lifeguard shortage, I mean, what has that meant over the past couple of years in terms of, I don't know if you guys crunch numbers, but in terms of beaches closed or not open as long, or pools not being able to open to the way they had been maybe a few years ago?
Yeah, well, it has affected some localities strong. I mean, because they can't, pools. A lot of pools have, can't open without the lifeguards there. So that's going to be a closure deal. And some of the beaches that are maybe run by national parks or certain other municipalities that demand that they have lifeguards on there, they may close. But the majority of beaches are free and open to the public for at least, if not all day, every day, but at times. And it just means a decreased lifeguard staffing, which nobody wants. We want as many lifeguards out there as possible. So
Tom, does that concern you that, people will just like head to these places anyways, head to beach spots anyway, even if there's not a lifeguard present, and then, we run the risk of injury or something more serious than that?
Well, sure, because we already have areas that don't have lifeguard presence, and they're going in despite whether there be a flag or a sign that says no swimming. We know that doesn't do the job. Lifeguards do the job. So going to a place without lifeguards, you are really taking a lot of risk and responsibility, not only for yourself, but what we see all the time is someone gets in trouble in the water, and a good Samaritan, somebody that wants to do well, goes in to help them, and they become a victim. And it's heartbreaking when we know that there are trained lifeguards around the country that are ready to help you in a moment's notice and can give you probably all the information you need not to get in trouble in the first place.
Absolutely. And we've already seen, unfortunately, this season how dangerous that can be and how deadly that can be if there are not lifeguards around. Tom, Gill, thank you so much for joining us.